Listen to my discussion on Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. This poem is about a man or a speaker and his horse who traveled many miles on a winter day in their sleigh to the woods and then back to their house in the village. On the surface, this poem is simplicity itself. The speaker is stopping by some woods on a snowy evening. He takes in the lovely scene and near silence. Is tempted to stay longer, but acknowledges the pull of obligations and the considerable distance yet to be travelled before we can rest for the night. Of hail, the narrow dirt lane disappeared in the rapidly falling snow. In a winter evening, the speaker pulled lightly on the reins, bringing his dapple-colored horse and small sleigh to a gradual halt, getting his bearing as best he can. Tall trees were gathered close around him. They were leafless and like silent watching, wearing new coats of white. As twilight slowly approached, he first wonders who owns these woods. In the same breath, he tells us that he thinks he does know who owns them. The lucky landowner lives in a house in the village just past. So the speaker wants to get into trouble for trespassing because there is no one to catch him trespassing. He will be safe. He lifts his head skyward and allows several fragile specks to alight upon his face, darting around the once protective rim of his hat. They land and melt quickly, their fullness like a mother's soft kiss, remember. The speaker has a horse, nay, and this horse is little. He psychoanalyzes his little horse and supposes that said little horse must think it's pretty strange for them to be stopping in the middle of forest with no one in sight, with not even farmhouse nearby, no guiding lights shining a beacon's promise of warmth or absolutely no sign of haste, with only the woods and the frozen lake to be seen on the darkest night of the year. He must surely wonder if it would not be more fit for him to sit in the sleigh and for he to take up halter and harness to complete their journey. Also, it happens to be the darkest evening of the year. But Mr. Speaker is mesmerized as he watches the countryside viewed through a curtain of heavenly origin, while the approaching night reaches its hand to paint the scene in deepening shadows. Meanwhile, his little horse, Mr. Horse here, little horse's friend here, is starting to really lose its patience. Luckily, he has some harness bells on his back, and he gives them a little shake in order to draw his master's attention. With a shake of his harness bells, his equine friend breaks his reverie, and as their tinkling dies away, the only sound that can be heard is the sweep of a slight wind and of a falling snow. Seems to be asking if there was some mistake, some miscommunication between the master and the beast. With a smile of genuine affection and some kind words, the speaker lets him know there had not been anything, no any mistake at all. It seems the same flight of fancy that had overcome on him. The spaces between woken trunks become magical realms that call to him, tempting to pass between them like a gate to a world that mortal men only dream about. Something is capturing his imagination as he dreams in the timeless scene which is quiet. With a touch of the reins, the speaker sends them yet again down the now unbroken path of winter white snow. Yeah, snow white. He glances once more between the boughs of the ancient trees. that still call out to him. Second, from his Oniric melancholy, the poet becomes the speaker again and suggests a resumption of his journey, which he repeats, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. He has promises to keep, but the greater issue is whether he will indeed keep his life, or was he going to die soon. Thus he admits to having a hankering for the dark woods, but he tells us he has got going to do. He has got things to do, people to see, and places to go. He has got a long way to go before he can rest his head on his little pillow. So he had better get going. The temptation of the woods should not stop him there. He should not be busy with looking at nature's beauty. He had better remember his duty. Duty is the foremost thing that he needs to do before he dies or he breathes his last. Discuss with the poems or analysis of the poem. Readers often find the poem, this stopping by words on a snow evening, somewhat dark, albeit beautiful, and many assume it has something to do with the death, or at least fatigue with life. Let's not say death at all. Maybe that fatigue, tiredness that after working for a long time, the poet or the speaker has when he asked if the poem had anything to do with death or suicide. Frost denied it, preferring to keep everyone guessing by simply saying no. No. Many scholars think, however, that the poem could be construed as a dreamlike tale of someone passing away or saying a final goodbye. The poem captures a moment of pure delight in midwinter, a fleeting mood of reflection on the beauty of snow-wrapped woods before the poet must go on routine duties. The poem, the poem records the moment of pure delight experienced by the poet as he stopped by a snow-covered wood one evening, though he would love to remain there much longer because of the temptation of the wood, the frozen lake, downing prey. Yeah, he could not, as he realized that he had promises to keep and must drive away because he had to go miles ahead before he slips. The major theme in the poem is uh, major themes. The major themes in the poem are isolation, duty and responsibility, and at the same time the tranquility and contemplation of nature and stopping by words. And these provide additional avenues through which its meaning can be analyzed. Major themes here: isolation, duty, responsibility, and the tranquility and contemplation of nature. These are the major themes to be discussed while talking about, while discussing about a first most celebrated poem. Frost admitted that he composed the poem in straight 20 minutes or so. He went out to view the sunrise and suddenly got the idea for stopping by words on a snowy evening. The poem lends itself a variety of interpretation, myriads of interpretation. Why does the speaker stop by the wood? The readers may ask some pertinent questions. Does the speaker move on rather reluctantly? What's Frost's attitude towards nature? And why is he using very simple words and trying to tell something past? Is he trying to put the reader in the illusion or in the veil of illusion? That's a question. It may be discussed that the entire poem is an allegory with an inner meaning in addition to its surface meaning. The promises are symbolic of life's responsibilities, and sleep is a symbolic of death. The poet cannot enjoy the beauty of the woods as he promises to keep and miles to go before he sleeps. The poet hints at the need of the strong sense of duty, restraining the temptations of life. It may be noted that the fascination of the woods, they are lovely, dark, and deep, is felt only by the speaker, not by the horse, who is subhuman, or by the practical man, the owner of the woods, not the visitor, like the speaker here. But even the speaker has to finally resist the temptation of stopping by woods much longer, as I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. The last stanza also conveys a sacred death wish. However, the poet entirely ruled out when he was asked about his death wish. At another level of possible interpretations, the poem is even more general and philosophical in its allegorical suggestions about life, time, and dedication to a goal or vocation, consciousness, and so on, including the romantic theme, life journey, ideas, and religious themes. These general suggestions can be called philosophical. But it is obvious that he is trying to explore the relationship between life and death, man and nature. I have promises to keep is the most important line in form that makes him conscious of his duties and responsibilities. He cannot he cannot always get tempted in the beauty, even in that cold winter evening, and he is taking the nature as beautiful thing instead of thinking about the duties, and he is entranced with such beauty of nature. At the same time, he is enraptured by the beauty of the nature, so he is in the state of hanging between the nature's beauty and his promised duty. His promised duty is to keep him going, get him going. Okay. After discussing, analyzing this, let us talk about the literary devices used in the poem. Uh, the poem is rich in literary devices, insert, and rich in meaning and word game. It is also rich in music and expression. The word game in the poem is so rich due to the central metaphor of journey and having to go miles before sleeping. And so it all applies beautifully to many kinds of interpretations, myriads of interpretation. This is short form written in iambic tetrameter verse paragraph, that is a quatrain. There are 4 lines in each stanza, and following the AABA rhyme scheme. First has used in rhyme in every first, second, and fourth line of the poem. The notable exception to this pattern comes in the final stanza, where the third line rhymes with the previous two and is repeated as the fourth line. Overall, the rhyme scheme is AABA, BBCB, CCDC, DDDD. These 4 stanzas having different patterns, scheme like this. There is a refrain in the poem at the end of the poem, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Here, miles represent life's journey, while sleep represents death. The poem uses onomatopoeia, that shake and shake. Harness bells a shake, and sweep of easy wind and down a cliff. So there is a kind of onomatopoeia used in the poem, and it's also creating musicality in the poem. The hearse is personified in lines 9 and 10 when he gives his harness bell the sex. To ask if there is some sex. These 2 lines that remind that the little hearse is given or is attributed to human qualities. Here, the master believes as if hearse knew the reasons why they had to stop. There are several examples of alliteration. Another literary device that creates a kind of musicality, a music element here. Stopping by words, there is wa sound in words, what, words, with ha sound in his, house, he, his, harness, sound in sounds, swift, and the sound in dark and deep. There is the repetition of these sounds in the line of poetry, especially here a line of talking by woods on a snow evening, and these are creating kind of music here. And at the same time, there are several examples of assonance and consonance in the poem contributing to musicality of the poem. His house, his house is in the village, gives his, if there is, easy wind and downy flex. So that is the use of consonants and assonance. Now, after discussing about these musical elements, what I have realized, what I have got in my mind after reading this poem, what's my realization? I can just frankly say that this poem is so beautiful and it perfectly captures the magical essence of a snowy wood. It reminds me to pause and really admire and appreciate the little things and the small moments that bring about a warm glow of happiness. Sometimes life is hectic and busy and quite frankly difficult, but if you take a look around and soak in the scenery, notice the little things that bring a smile to your face and give you a warm, fuzzy feeling. Then embrace those little moments. You can get back to the rush of life after a few seconds. This reminds me about W.S. Davies' leisure poem. No time to see the beauty. Here, the poet. That's just I have got the reference from that W.S. Davies' leisure poem. And people are so busy; they don't have time to enjoy the beauty of nature. But beauty, only running after beauty, is not only the thing that you should remember what duties you have to perform. Duties are always things that you have kept as promise and you have to fulfill until the doomsday, until the day that God claims you or the God of death comes and claims you that you need to go with him. You can. You can get back to the rush of life after a few seconds. I'm very guilty of keeping myself busy and always having a list of things to do. But it's nice to take a step back for and admire the beauty of life. So that's the discussion here. See Robert Frost here and the text, real text of the poem. And what's the poem about? We have already discussed about it. Just for your ease, I have tried to present here. And the summary of the poem. And the themes in Stopping by Woods on my evening. We discuss here the themes. There are isolation, duty and responsibility, the tranquility of nature, and the contemplation of nature. This poem. And when discussing about this poem, there are many questions that readers can put forth, and these matters of discussion we can provide these questions in our group, in our class, in our project work, and we can discuss them. And the poem needs a lot of discussion within its simplicity. There are a lot of things to be discovered, a lot of things to be discussed and analyzed, and a lot of things to be learned, and a lot of things to be told, to be taught to the learners, young learners. And analysis. Yeah, we got points early. With the slides, you can enjoy them. See Robert Frost here and the text, real text of the poem. And what's the poem about? We have already discussed about it. Just for your is I have tried to present here, and the summary of the poem. And the theme in Stopping by Woods on my evening. We discuss here the themes there are isolation, duty and responsibility, the tranquility of nature, and the contemplation of nature. These four. And when discussing about this poem, there are many questions that readers can put forth, and these matters of discussion we can provide these questions in our group, in our class, in our project work, and we can discuss them. And the poem needs a lot of discussion. Within its simplicity, there are a lot of things to be discovered, a lot of things to be discussed and analyzed, and a lot of things to be learned, and a lot of things to be told, to be taught to the learners, young learners. And analysis. Yeah, we got points early. With the slides, you can enjoy them. Okay. Subscribe our channel. If you want more videos from us, please don't forget to subscribe our channel. I would like to say thank you now. Thank you very much.